Hello and welcome to Wrestleopinionated. This is our weekly show all about the shows of AEW. We are your hosts. I am Morg and this is...
King Grognard Matt Strange, and this is...
At the wheel, Muir.
What?
Just tired.
Right, okay.
Oh, he's a sleepy boy.
I already had like 12 hours sleep. Leave me alone.
It's his stolen valor from dads around the world. He makes dad noises when he gets up and sits down as well. He's just an old man.
So he's not after...
I've been an old man my whole life, mate. It's changed now.
Muir sleepy.
Muir sleepy. Oh, bless it.
What have you been up to this week? Anything exciting?
What have I been up to this week?
I completed Dark Souls 1, only dying twice. That was
Watched a lot of wrestling.
There was a lot of wrestling this week.
There was a lot of wrestling this week, which we'll be on to shortly, obviously. Otherwise, just the usual, computer games are being locked in my house.
Yeah.
Woo! What about you, Morg?
Computer games.
Being
Locked in your house.
Yeah.
God.
Pretty much.
What an exciting time we live
Hi
in.
there, welcome to our exciting Corona Times podcast.
Yeah,
Have you played computer games? Been locked in your house?
49 episodes in. And we started this right at the beginning. I think
we were like a month into the Rona, and then we were like, fuck
yeah,
it, let's
but
go.
Our
It
first
was
episode...
March.
Yeah.
March when Rona actually started being taken seriously.
Yeah, and our first episode was the first one with no audience. But
Worst stage of wrestling.
we have yet to do an episode where there's been a real crowd.
Well, if Austin Gunn and Japanese women at the sides of their rings have taught me anything, it's one person could be a crowd.
This is true. So this might be the first time you've listened to our podcast, and as such you would need to know we have a tier list, which is how we give our rankings for the individual matches of Dynamite and for the shows of Dynamite, BTE and Dark. Mr. Strange, are you ready to explain
I am.
the tier list?
I've not been very exciting this week either. I got distracted by something we'll be on to in a bit. Anyway, tier list. It's how we rank our matches. You probably know it from some internet channels or memes. We work up from our lowest possible rank. That's a D rank match. A D rank match is that filler match you don't want to see. Maybe it's a squash match. Maybe it's a bad, boring match. There's no story. It's there. We don't care. And we move on to what we do care about, what we do want to see. A C rank match. A C rank match is a good match. The wrestling is smooth. It's good. Sure, it's nothing to write home about, but you're having a good time. You've got enough story that you're at least invested. Or maybe just the wrestling's phenomenal, but it just happens to be there. You get a few of those. But a good match, a C rank match, what we want. Step up is the B rank match, or the match plus one as it's often referred to as. The wrestling is good. You're not picking up on any clumsy spots or over the top botches. The plot is there going in. There's a reason for the match. We don't need it to go too far, but we want a really good plot, driven match. That's what a B rank match is, match plus one. The top of our tree, typically weekly now, is the A rank match. A rank match has to have story going in, or I don't care. You need it to be part of the plot, and hopefully it leads out of the plot as well, but it could conclude something. The wrestling is on point. It's, as I said, it's your match of the week. Great story, great wrestling, some cool stuff you didn't expect. A rank match. And at the top of the tree is the S rank match, Superior, or Sugoi from the Japanese. Gotta have story, gotta have great story. I want to know why this match is going on. I want to know if it's concluded. I want to know if it's going on to bigger things. The wrestling is great. We get cool shit we haven't seen. We get some immense spots, but also, good pacing, or great pacing. It's a fucking S rank match. And great strikes and counters and all that shit. I want some phenomenal wrestling and perfect story. They're rare ons, but they do come up pay-per-views. So that's it. B, you don't want to watch it. C, you enjoyed watching it. B, you were happy you watched it. A, I'm going to fucking watch that again. And S, I'm going to make my friends watch this. That's our tier list.
Excellent.
Boom.
So, moving on. Time for the news. Got a couple of bits this week. Shall we start off with the AEW bit?
Yes, I think so.
Before we froth, because the other bit I think is going to bleed into social media. So AEW wise, there have been some interesting interviews going on where both Kenny and Tony Khan have said that AEW is very, very open to working with Dubsy. Very noticeable in the Kenny interview that he only mentions Triple H, and I don't know if we mentioned this on the podcast or whether it was just when we were chatting before, but I know that me and Strange were both we reckon Triple H should do it. I reckon he'd take NXT there and it'd be great.
I reckon Trips would do it.
Yeah, he likes wrestling.
But with Vince, on the other hand, I wish AEW and WWE could work together. The Monkey Paw Titans. Somehow Vince buys AEW and just ruins it.
The only way it would happen.
He's not going to work together. He spent ages destroying Georgia Pro Wrestling, Dubsy Dub, every other territory there was. The original NWA, the term wrestling championships.
Man hates wrestling. He ain't going to be working with other wrestling companies.
Vince Sr. should have just let him be a wrestler. That's all he wanted, but no. To make him get some weird love-hate thing with it.
Anyway,
I'd love to see it. I'm with you. I would. There's a lot of talent in the WWE. I would love to see wrestling with some of their old indies partners, shall we say.
I would love to see an NXT crossover, an NXT AEW invasion. Done with writers from both sides. We can dream book it. We can pretend Vince is a bit poorly or gone a bit deaf. No.
The old Vince McMahon theme song says, you've got no chance.
No chance.
That's what you've got.
So, but yeah, definitely worth reading that Kenny interview. Quite an interesting one.
Definitely. And he's very diplomatic. Tony Khan said, I'm begging you to work with me.
At least Tony Khan was honest.
Yeah, fair. But still. Stay strong, Tony. I forgot his name for a second there. That was weird. I literally just said it.
So this bleeds over into social media. I don't believe we've got a social media as such this week.
No, I went off on a tangent.
This is totally not AEW related. It is
not
related to something very close to our hearts. And if you've listened to any of our... If this is the first time you listen to our show, then you won't know that there is...
We fucking loved Lucha Underground.
Lucha Underground
was the best.
Was a show that was the thing that brought the three of us together as wrestling fans properly.
Yeah, it was like our wrestling renaissance. Wrestling was cool again.
So, Mr. Strange, you've got all the info on this. Do you want to do a bit of a plot dump for people?
Yeah, so I skim the indie news and stuff because I'm an indie shitter. I was on the MLW Twitter page looking for some news, and there was a trailer for a new wrestling video promotion, something called Atztec Underground, with all these big like Atztec seals and stuff, calling for the Believers. So I was like, hold on, this needs a little bit of a look.
Is this real?
Yeah, exactly.
Quickly, if I can cut across, if you haven't seen Lucha Underground, if you go and find this video, we'll try and link it onto the Facebook page. The seal that they use is almost a direct lift of the type of stuff used in Lucha Underground, and the Believers was the name for Lucha Underground fans. Sorry, carry on, Mr. Strange.
It gets even closer to that. So I went to aztecaunderground.com. That's their website. Have a look. They're looking, should any unsigned wrestlers be listening to this podcast, they're looking for wrestlers by the look of it. But it turns out Mil Muertes, who was a mega heel in Lucha Underground, has actually shown up on MLW because he got to keep the name Mil Muertes after the break with Lucha Underground. But he's also got Mil's full backstory. So it is Mil Muertes from Lucha Underground. And they've been referencing the person who's founding this new Azteca Underground show in kayfabe as the proprietor. But he's also been referred to as Jefe. And we all know who El Jefe was. That was Dario Cueto. So,
if they don't have Dario Cueto, I'm not interested, as far as I'm concerned.
And they've got pictures of Mil on their website and some fucking cool gear. There's talk about magic artifacts. There's a picture of Conan, who's obviously very entrenched in Lucha and independent wrestling and was in Lucha Underground. So looks like Keno's back on the menu, boys. Yeah.
I'm not getting too hopeful until we've got some more concrete Because
So I need to go look at my picture of Todd Howard. Is that what
Yes.
you're telling me? Right,
Yes,
okay.
right.
If this happens to our fans, people that listen to it for an AEW, this will become an AEW Azteca Underground podcast.
There it will. If it lives up to what it was.
Yeah.
Boom.
This,
There is a chance it'll be some like weird indie copy with people who aren't quite as mainstream as some of the stars of Lucha Underground. You know, Enter, Phoenix, Cage, Ricochet.
This is one of the problems. All the originals, with the exception of Matanza and Mil Muertes.
Jeff Cobb's doing fine. I don't think he'd come back from Matanza, sadly.
Well, but he's the only one I can think of off the top of my head who could just, of the big names, who could just come back. Is not signed to
I think
a big
with this
money
open universe we're getting of wrestling,
that's the
there's a
interesting bit.
good chance, like, Penta still shows up on random luchador shows and such like. Kenny's all over the place doing things. We've got the Impact crossover. If they're willing to work as part of this conglomerate, why the fuck not? It's a semi-cinematic match.
That's a good point.
Their matches were like cut and pasted and worked a lot of the time, so it's not the most taxing thing on them to do that match. Unless they're doing one of the, ludicrous ones where they fall 30 feet through, 7 sheets of glass and shit, but it's doable.
So, there you have it. That's our news for the week. And links into social media. If you're interested, go and have a look at aztecaunderground.com. Especially if you were a Lucha Underground fan. So, time to move on, and it's time for the reviews of the week. We're going to open with BTE and then move on to the women's segment. So, Mr. Muir, BTE.
Right.
I feel sorry for him. It was not a good BTE.
Get my BTE notes open. 1 second. Here they are. Okay, yep. Okay, don't watch it. Just don't fucking watch it. Watch the 2 Dark Order bits if you really need to watch it. They're fun, but the rest is terrible. Absolutely worthless. And that's pretty much my review.
Jesus. I remember a really slow motion fight scene that went on for ages, and that's all I remember.
I liked the Karate Kid fight scene, the Kung Fu Karate Kid fight scene.
It just went on for too long.
Silly.
I don't know, maybe I'm getting miserable in my old age. Not as miserable as Muir, apparently.
Well, they talked about shoes for the first, 7 minutes of it. And I was just like, what is this?
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's the Young Bucks thing, isn't it? They're all into trainers.
So, that bored me to tears. Then the Dark Order bit with Sting, thinking that it was Sting from U2.
Oh, that was pretty good.
That was good. But
Sting
like I said... No, Sting from U2, he said.
I remember.
And they start singing Rosanna, which was good. Then they just went through all the reasons why Hangman doesn't like them, basically down to penis size and that Silver has never kissed a woman before, but somehow has the best kisser award in the Dark Order.
God.
Uno is colorblind. Silver is so poor he can't afford a new table. The one good thing about this segment, the Dark Order bits were good. They were standard Dark Order good. But I really enjoyed that Five was replying to all the emails to try and find Hangman. Through all the emails.
I'm glad somebody else noticed that.
Yeah.
They did there's a video of them doing something about that, but I forgot to watch it. And it was on a random tweet. But it's something that's actually been woven into the story just in, 1-minute promo tweet that you've missed because it was a sea of match announcements.
We'll get the pick up from that tonight, probably.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so.
So overall, not a very... and then the BTE title is now being defended on Sammy's vlog, which has been some fun parts, so it's almost a shame to lose it, but we shall see what happens with that. So
I'll get it back.
Yeah, moving on from something you guys didn't enjoy, shall we move on to something that I'm pretty sure you did?
Yeah.
We start with the Dark first. Should we do Dark first, then we can build ourselves up into the main show?
I mean, I'm not going to lie, Dark doesn't take long either.
Yeah, exactly. We can
Okay.
get all the stuff we didn't like out the way, and then we can enjoy the stuff we did, you know?
Okay, Mr. Strange, I'm quite happy with this change. Over to you for your speed run of Dark.
Righty-ho, I can't say I recommend much of this, not because they're bad, but I didn't bother writing down any of the winners, because it's all pretty obvious. We open up with Mox versus John Cruz.
I thought John Cruz was going to get this, to be honest.
I thought this was going to be like the fastest squash match. When you think about John Cruz versus Moxley, you expect. If I was going to expect a squash match, it would be this. Mox gave him some offense. It was he did some comedy back rakes. It was a squash, but it was a bit of fun. John Cruz overselling, getting some offense in. Mox doing his thing. Didn't hate this. It was all right. A bit of a laugh. From there, we get Bear Country versus Chaos Project, which means John Cruz walked out of the first match, got in his Serpentico gear, and came back out, which is pretty good. There was
worker.
I think Bear Country won this.
They did,
I remember they did the shoulder thing. Otherwise, this was just a bit of fun. There was some good Big Sky stuff from Bear Country, and Serpentico oversold, you know. Then the Butcher and the Blade came out for 2 minutes to beat up some guys, and they won. That happened. Shanna versus Renee Michelle. Shanna came out in a wonderful T-shirt, a lovely Shanna anime design with Dragon Ball Z that I can only recommend people look at more.
Is this an incredibly good Shanna anime T-shirt?
Fabulous. People should buy that if it comes out.
Right, I understand.
And Shanna was in her own custom-made Vegeta outfit, which, you know, for the weebs of us, which is cool. This was actually all right. There was a strong grappling start. There was a bit of lack of familiarity showing, but they tried to keep it interesting. Shanna didn't quite get the bridge on the pin again, though, so she had to do a different pin. But, yeah, that was all right. Beaver Boys versus VSK from Massage Envy. And Eric James, who was Lana's first husband in that scene with Bobby Lashley and Lana in the WWE. It was all right. Silver looked very happy to be a wrestler. Some good showing from Reynolds. I think they're trying to show him off, though. I do not like that double destroyer, though. I think it looks terrible. Then Jurassic Express came out and beat up two guys for 45 seconds and won.
That was fun, wasn't it?
Then Conti and Vixen had a match. Conti looked great, and then she won.
Yep.
Then, this is dark. This is what happened throughout the show. Eddie versus Solo. A bit of fun, if I'm honest. Eddie was having a laugh. Solo got some offense. Eddie made jokes like telling the ref he was pulling his hair and stuff. It was all right.
It was great, though.
Then Starks came out for 10 seconds and won.
Mate, it wasn't even 10.
I am not exaggerating any of this, Morg. This is how fast it went over. I am not joking. And there was Cutler versus Mysterio or something like that. I didn't quite catch his luchador name.
Family.
He looked a bit like Scott Steiner if he was a luchador, and I was a bit cynical at start.
But Scott Steiner merged with Rey Mysterio.
It was fucking great.
Yeah.
And he actually did a lot of just classic Technico stuff and things. There was actually a match there. It was pretty good. I'm pretty sure if you gave Cutler a manager, you could give him a proper push now. But yeah, I was actually excited to see a match at this point. I was like, "Ooh, this is
more
than
a minute."
Yeah. And Hobbs came out for 10 seconds and beat a guy.
I missed this, but you know,
you missed the Hobbs entire match.
Did you go to the toilet or something?
I think I did. I can't remember. I forgot Hobbs was on this. But anyway.
I'm not joking. When I said one match was under 2 minutes, one was under 45 seconds, and two were under 10, I'm not exaggerating. Like these four matches come to around 3 minutes 50. And we finished with Comoroto versus Fuego, which was actually kind of fun. It was very much anime. With my superior speed, I am sure to win.
Yes,
Little guy versus mini boss. Doesn't quite pull off the tornado DDT. Comoroto does a single arm military press again. It was all right. Like, there's a bunch of all right in here. The first squash match was all right. Cutler versus Mysterio was all right. Eddie versus Solo was all right. And the finisher was all right. There was just so many unnecessary squash matches and just, they're doing this for the numbers. I just didn't care.
The other
Anyone
thing
with
is,
any doubt,
we saw the timing. This was only an hour long. It was like, amazing.
Yeah, I was excited. And
I
then
thought
nothing
it was going to go
happened.
back to the old school.
Yeah, I think the reason that the Mox match went was because it was face versus face, and that's probably why it was a good squash match, because
I didn't think John Cruz had a character, let alone.
he's effectively a plucky underdog. That's an automatic face.
Serpentico, King Serpentico on Twitter actually spends all of his time shit talking John Cruz and putting pictures up of him calling him a loser. Which brings me great. Somebody had him artist draw a picture of John Cruz pinning Serpentico, and he was like, "I don't like this." Yeah, all in all, I can't say Dark was necessarily like bad. Like technically, it was fine, but it's very skippable. Like you're not missing anything.
So what are we saying? Low C?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I can't say I hated it.
It was too short to be hated.
Yeah, like low C. Like it was all right. If you want some wrestling on in the background whilst you're drawing or reading a book or playing a different game on your phone, yeah, go for it. Otherwise, watch it for John Cruz being in 2 matches consecutively. What a guy!
That was pretty good. Yeah. I was like, fair play, lad.
Okay, let's go from mediocre to good.
Let's get back on track. Who wants to take the lead on this one?
Well, I've got my massive notes. I'm very excited.
There we go.
Massive notes as well. Okay.
So,
right.
Go.
I don't want to butcher names. I'm terrible with Japanese names. Strange, you want to say the names.
All right, okay. So it's the AEW Japanese half of the brackets women's tournament on YouTube, which was great. We open up with, I haven't actually written all their full names. We open up with Yuka Sakazaki. I know that one versus May. I don't know her surname, her family name. Sorry, it's not technically a surname. I'm going to open with this tournament featured all 4 kinds of like Joshi match in theme. We open up with what is basically the standard style of TJPW Joshi match. It's a little bit fun, but you've still got the technical stuff in there. You know, you're not feeling like it's a massive shoot match. It hasn't crossed the NJPW line, but it's still a wrestling match.
Yeah.
I really like this opening match. I was very critical of it in the first watch, but I've watched it all again since. And it's grown on me. There are weaknesses in this match, and it's not the best match of the 4. It's Yuka versus May. Yuka is the most experienced one. May's got 2 years ring experience, I believe.
2 years ring experience at Gator Move so far. Yeah.
We get a fine warm-up start into a traditional fun Oklahoma roll. If you don't enjoy watching an Oklahoma roll, there's something wrong with you. I love them. You can read some of the greenness in May in this, though. It's very much Yuka is leading the match, and May uses a bit of pacing. Yeah. Yuka's over the ropes choke thing she did with her legs looked fucking brutal. May's feet were properly off the floor. We missed, the cameraman didn't help with some of May's trickstery stuff, like she did the big foot stomp. At the one point, she jumped down looking like she was going for a strike, and she did a sweep, which knocked out Yuka's legs. And Excalibur described it, but the camera shot was above the knees, so it just looked like she jumped down, and then Yuka fell over, which cost it a little bit. And submission spot didn't turn out great.
Bad and should have been reshot, I think, was the main issue.
Yeah, but they did this live, I believe. Otherwise, this match had 100% emoting in the faces. You got to read their characters. Well, we know Yuka. I think she's reading as a little bit more mature last time we saw her, but...
she's still an evil magic girl. That's her character.
She's got a great moveset. She's got power moves, rope moves, submissions.
A 450 splash off the middle of the ropes is fucking ludicrous.
It's so good. May's leg squeeze submission didn't look great on Yuka, but when she did that rolling body scissors, that was smooth as fuck. Yes, I can see where May's going to go.
She's going to be great. She just needs a bit more polish, definitely.
I think you could read from the end on Yuka's face that she knows it was a bit off. Like, it was good, and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't quite there. I sound like I'm being critical. It was really good. It was a good wrestling match, but it could have been better, is what I'm saying.
I also want to explain what the gator move thing is. It's literally 2 mats on the floor. So this girl is literally learning how to wrestle with no ropes most of the time. Just to inform you of the level that gator move is at.
Oh yeah, it's just like Emmy Sakura's back bedroom, isn't it? Or
Yes,
something.
mate. Yes.
What did you think, Morg? You're our Joshi apprentice?
Apprentice.
Couldn't think of the right word.
This was really good. We were very happy that our girl won. This was the one.
Yeah.
So my only criticism of this whole thing was the fact that I worked out who was winning every match because they'd appeared on AEW before. That was my only, which was very much a shame when we get to one of the later, two of the later matches, I would say. So yeah, me and the Raptor had worked out who was going to win. But this was great. This was just wrestling. Just
wrestling.
This was just.
I know what
wrestling.
you mean, though.
It was
enough facial expressions, enough moves, enough silliness.
It was a lot of fun.
Very much so. Not as fun as a later match, though.
I think we were about to move on to one of my 2 new favourite female wrestlers.
Yep. Right, next one to Emmy versus Venig, which I would describe as the Type 2 Japanese match. Just a wrestling match, very little silliness.
Can I just correct myself? Sorry. My 2 new favourite Joshi wrestlers.
Okay.
Yes, because Venig won over a lot with me and the Raptor. They are amazing.
On the internet.
If you want to watch more of Venig, they are Asuka in all caps. If you actually want to watch them in any other promotion, they've only been Venig for this tournament.
Yeah, we looked them up and got very confused for a moment.
Yeah.
Interesting fact, Emmy lost a tooth in this match. Yeah, I think it was that one drop kick. Joshi, yeah, she didn't give a fuck. She was like, lol, tooth loss. This was just a really good match. It was so smooth. Venny's weird, roll dodge thing near the start. I was like, I am now invested. Let's see the rest of this. I don't know when they sort of bent rolled.
Yes, mate.
It is they, them, just so everybody knows. Look that up. There was some fucking immense hair whips. I've seen hair whips before, but Emmy fucking threw Venig like nothing.
Emmy don't care. She'll put you in your place.
I really like the Romero special ending in the slam, and I don't see it enough. And it's just good wrestling, it fits in with everything. And this was just good wrestling. I love Emmy's selection of backbreakers. Venny's springboard headlock takeover thing from the turnbuckle was just immense. I know it's not a particularly complex move, but because it just looks great, more of that. Venny's running shooting star press, fucking immense.
It's not Hangman's, but it is good.
Yeah, no. I actually got really cheerful in my soul when Emmy did the Queen "We Will Rock You,"
People actually responded.
Yeah, people did it. I was like, yeah, this is what it's about.
I don't understand how she didn't get over. She's great fun. I don't understand why American audiences couldn't get behind the weird, Freddie Mercury.
I think that she would get over much bigger with a UK audience. I think Queen, for as much as they are one of the biggest bands of all time, and on my list of one of the greatest bands of all time, I think they are still very, very British. Weird as that may sound. And I don't know whether a younger American audience really understand who this woman is who comes out with a moustache. Whereas I think if you do that in England, the crowd would pop like fuck. I think it's just... And obviously, Queen are obviously huge in Japan. So it's obviously over there, probably in the same...
Yeah,
that way that a lot of Western rock bands have really massively.
If she's coming back with a heel Queen gimmick, which it looks like she's got with the robe and the crown, then it might be a little bit more obvious for Americans. Not to insult any American listeners, but we understand.
You just don't. If you're not aware of Queen the band, who are quite an older band now, you're not going to necessarily get it. This match was just really, really good. Really enjoyed this match.
I was going to get back into that. The only weak spot was we had a weak sequence of strikes, but then later we had a great sequence of chops with leg lariats in that 1 minute. That if I had to pick a weak spot, that was it. I love the sit-out choke slam. That's a cool move. And we end with a bunch of fast rolls, holds, and yeah, it was great. Back to you, Morg. Sorry, I wanted to get the end of my run out.
Oh, yeah, sorry. No, yeah, this was just a really, really good match. I just really enjoyed it. Always like Emmy anyway. She just, it's nice to have a veteran in the ring. This was one of the first times when I was a bit disappointed that it wasn't the new person who went over, though, because I think Venig is dimes and could be massive in an American/European scene.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Just someone else on this list, but yeah, sure.
We're getting to that very shortly, I think.
You've got to take into account the Japanese culture as well. Like, yeah,
Yes.
they will have as much. It was like how you'd expect certain more experienced wrestlers to go over
100%.
here. Over,
yeah.
It's just the same thing.
Also, just like to point out that she was wearing Hannah's old kimono from her rodeo tie.
Yeah, that was really nice. It was
quite.
It was really nice having Excalibur explain things because he actually knows them.
Yeah,
as much as I think Taz would have had the best time ever watching this show, I think he'd have cry laughed all the way through.
I don't think he could have survived Baki Ito.
No, those little touches and Excalibur actually explaining it to the audience was great.
Yeah.
Shall I roll on?
Yeah.
Carry on.
To my other new favourite, Joshi.
My favourite match of this, and I'm about to big up Rio. Versus Maki Ito. A proper comedy match here, if I'm honest, but still with great wrestling. As soon as, when Rio was on EW previously, it was in some, multi-tag match. We didn't really get to see her character. When she fucking walked out as, Girl Carter...
with the sunglasses.
I was like...
That's exactly what we said. I'm glad we got that right.
Good work. And her nickname is Aniki, which is older brother in Japanese. And there's a lot of Big Brother energy there. There was so much character in this match. Just so much. I'm just going to take highlights. The crying spot into the foot stomp. Wonderful. The shoulder tackle bounce when she got advantage. Rio did the fucking rope shake like the Ultimate Warrior. They were both really good despite the comedy, though. Every spot was tight and hit well. Rio counts with the ref for the arrogance, which helped get the character across. Maki entering screaming psycho moment is just wonderful. And she's got the best Kakeshi in the building. That sideways full headbutt with her
so beautiful.
A stupid face on as she goes over. Rio wiggling her eyebrows and smiling when she popped out the submission made me laugh.
Good.
It was just great. And there was a great hanging power slam from Rio in the middle of this. As much as I'm bigging up the comedy moments, there were some proper good moves. There was a really good elbow exchange, some proper NJPW smacking each other. We got Maki Ito's Iron Head moment, which is just always wonderful. And she T-posed after the headbutt no sell. She just brought her arms up. And look, she's got Maki's got some good moves in there with the DDT and that swinging DDT. The finish looked fucking brutal. That rolling head arm triangle, I actually felt bad for Maki Ito. I fucking loved this match. It was my favorite. I loved it.
Arm choke where you just kept throwing her around at the end was beautiful. It's horrible. I'd like to also point out how much better Maki's got, because I watched a load of Maki's matches a year ago, and she was not the best, but she's now actually really coming into her own. Especially the roll through single leg crab she did was fucking
that was
heavy.
Wicked.
I also
these two were great together.
Yeah, they were brilliant together. I love how she sings as well as Lord Taishi coming down to the ring. Makes me pissed. Yeah. I thought she brought the crying spot out a bit early because that's normally later when she's losing. But yeah, it was fucking great. Yeah, I had great fun watching this match because I enjoy a stupid comedy match that also has fantastic, wrestling in it. This was perfect for me. I thoroughly enjoyed this. What do you think of Morg?
This is how you do a comedy match without it being silly. So one of the first things I personally noticed was that Rio expected her to be playing very. I mean, obviously, she was playing the straight man in the grand scheme of things, but she wasn't purely playing the straight man and knew how to do a comedy match. This was no Bill Goldberg, I don't do comedy. This was purely, I know what I'm getting into. I am a very serious, hard-hitting looking character. Like you say, looks like a Carter. Gender flipped to Carter. And yeah, this was so much fun. Immediately made Makito 2 new fans out of me and the Raptor. I can't call between this and the previous match, which was my favourite, so I'm going to state that these two were my favourite matches.
They're definitely the two best, 100%.
They are the best two. But
when I first watched it, I said the previous one was the better match, but I've rewatched them both today, and I just had so much fun watching this match. On top of being impressed.
Yeah, I think they'd both be getting very high marks if we were actually scoring them.
Yes, mate. I fucking loved it. I'm really excited to see more of both of them. I'm pretty sure AEW will sign Maki. Her entire gimmick is losing. It's just that's not
one of the things we noticed was they all stated making their AEW debut. So hopefully that's shape of things to come. Quickly, before we move on to the last match, just a piece of food for thought for you guys that me and the Raptor were talking about. I know we've been quite critical of AEW's women's division. Do you think one of the problems they've had is they were expecting it to be shored up with all these great Joshis, and then the Rona happened?
Could well be.
And they've had to just try and make do with effectively having half a roster.
We were building to a Yuka Britt feud and a Statlander somebody feud before everything went down. If you recall, there was that double match where a bunch of people got taken out. Sorry, Muir, I talked over you.
It's okay. Yeah, I can agree with you there, but then also you need to think about this. As soon as the borders were being closed, down, it should have been more, well, what we're going to do now, boys, than just sort of do nothing. But yeah, it is a huge issue for them, but these girls are also signed their contracts to their companies, so they shouldn't be over at AEW the whole time.
Yeah, I just wonder if that's one of the things that has specifically hurt the women's, because we've not seen it with the men's division in the same way as to whether they were expecting to have this, because we've got this match with the Japanese half and the American half. This also, so I just wonder if that's why, and maybe if some of these girls can come over, that we might actually see a bit of a resurgence in the women's division.
They've all got really obvious characters. That's what I really liked about watching this. Venig came out and I was like, oh, you're this character, cool. Rio came out and I was like, you're this character, wicked. Now I understand plucky underdog in the next match. I've got it. Boom.
So,
whereas AEW struggled a lot with is a female wrestler.
Yeah.
So the last match.
Yep.
Aja Kong versus Rin. I didn't get her first down as well. This
Rin
is the
Kadakura.
This is the fourth type of match. This is what I'd argue is their shoot/realistic match. And when you're watching this match, you have to remember Aja Kong is their Kane, basically. I think that's the best way to put it.
I'd say so, yeah.
Kane meets the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, she is an absolute legend as well.
Yeah.
It's arguably the weakest of the matches, sadly. Aja Kong does a lot of no-selling, but the no-selling at least reads on her face. Her character is, you can't hurt me with this. And
just looking in contempt at you, not just going, I'm not taking damage. It's like, what the fuck are you trying to do,
And she did get some cool taunts in there, like she did the Great Kabuki taunt. You got to read her character still, which is, what I said. Some of the fucking drops she did on Rin, I was like, poor lass.
She's dead now.
I like the camera. A bunch of the cover she did was good. And Aja Red as a bully.
Yeah.
We did get some counter offense from Rin. We got the DDT off the top. We got a couple of other things. But I just think all of Aja's bumps look really comfy. It's like she's done a big roll. And I don't know if that's odd. Maybe it's because she looks very comfy. But like whenever she did anything, she was just like boop, and I was like, oh, she's falling over.
That's wrestled for 35, 40 years, so
Well, Rin looked really good. Like there weren't many like particularly high spots for her because she was mostly bodied for this match. Like she had bunch of good defense, some good drop kicks, but like the standout moments with the Aja spike pile driver and Cell were immense. Aja just sitting, just dropping on her after that crucifix.
it was
She
beautiful.
just fell on. I was like,
crushed her.
Christ. Sad. I think some of the other matches might have overrun because this match was very short compared to the others. It was still good, but I think Rin would have been a more sympathetic person to have in the rest of the tournament. But Aja is their Kane, and she's still got to be over with their original audience. So I'll throw it over to you, boys.
They've got to keep her strong, unfortunately, as much as, it's not the most interesting match you're ever going to get, but, you've got to pay respect to legends in Japan, and she's a, living legend, so it is what it is.
She trained Awesome Kong. That's why Awesome Kong is called Awesome Kong.
Yeah.
Or Morg.
So, yeah, this is how you do a squash match.
Yeah.
This is exactly how you do a squash match. This was never felt like a squash match. At the beginning, you started to worry, and then it just really didn't feel like a squash match. It felt like a plucky underdog trying to overcome this legendary monster.
Fighting a mountain.
Yeah. And, just another great match. Really enjoyed all of this. Rin came across really well. There were a couple of moments towards him who were like, well, that's it, she's dead.
Yeah, just
she's dead.
She's mate.
Yeah, but yes, and I think you're going to make Aja look strong because my prediction, looking at it, I think we're going to have Nyla Rose versus Aja Kong in the final.
Oh, that could be interesting.
I think we're going to
have
a
very different women's match. That would.
Yeah, I believe Nyla has worked with her before.
Nyla did some time in Japan.
Yeah.
I hope
it's got to be Yuka. Yuka.
I want
Yuka too, but
want Yuka, expecting Aja versus Nyla. It's a big exhibition match for your pay-per-view.
I just don't care. I'm sorry. It's a match.
It's going to be Yuka. I'm going for Yuka versus Rio in the final. That's my in the bracket final. That's my
gosh.
That could be hilarious, and I could love it.
Yeah.
Oh, that is actually possible. Yeah, we could have Nyla versus. Yeah. No, that's another possibility. Yeah. I'm just expecting Nyla versus Aja Kong.
Nyla Rose back in the championship again. She's just like. She's already been beaten by Shida. Why do we need this replay?
That's the one thing that makes me think it won't be, and maybe Britt Baker will pull off the surprise.
Just something new, please.
Yeah.
Anyway,
because Britt hasn't had her run yet. Anyway, overall, what score are we giving this? I'm thinking it's an A.
Oh, I think it's an A. I think my overall joy in describing, as I said, the first and last matches were good, but my joy in describing the middle two matches, I think it's an A. I'm willing to give that out, especially for a show done in, somebody's back bedroom, across, the seas under lockdown. Yeah, great. Love it. More tomorrow, in fact.
Yep. Okay, so from there we move on to Dynamite, which is over to me. Open as always, JR Excalibur and Schiavone on commentary, and the opening match, Hangman and Matt Hardy versus TH2. Matt gets the pin with the twist of fate. What did you guys think of the match? What score did you give it? We'll get back to what happens after.
This was all right. It was good. Good. I enjoyed Hangman's lower. What was that, Muir?
Rip, no entrance for TH2.
Yeah. F.
Yeah.
I recently hired a shady legal team on the old Hangman thing. Catch up over the match start. Thanks again, boys. Love it. Yep. Love it when that happens. Otherwise, it was solid. We got the running shooting staff press. Evans got to be flippy. It was all mostly Hardy versus TH2, but it was solid. The Hangman hot tag was great. His fucking cardio must be immense. He went for ages. Pop-up power bombs, everything. The backbreaker, neckbreaker slam thing from TH2 was fucking cool. We did get her, but he didn't get all of it.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. I gave this a solid C. I enjoyed it. I don't think it broke any barriers, but we're mostly here for the story. Let's be honest.
This is just a story match to me, and it's a solid C for it. There was nothing too interesting, but it is to get the story over, which is what matters here.
Yeah,
C in a good way.
Yeah, C's across the board.
It was good.
So, following on from that, we had the Hardy and Page in-ring promo where Matt went, "You signed this contract," and Page went, "You might want to have a look at this video. You don't watch the show." So then we had the beatdown on Page, and most importantly, Dark Order in for the save on Page. This made me happy.
I'm most interested about something that Strange brought up. Why did Cassidy bring the wrong, the papers? If he was pretending to be that guy, why was he bringing the papers that fucked over Matt to the ring? This is something that Strange brought up to me.
If Cassidy is in disguise, that means Matt Hardy knows.
Yeah, maybe it was a case that Matt does actually watch the show and knew, because he did say, "Well, you pulled one over on me. I tried to pull one over on you." I liked all that.
Yeah, no, it was good actually. And obviously the heartwarmingness of Dark Order coming out to save him.
I enjoyed Silver coming out.
Because Five's in love with Hangman and brought his little heart balloon.
It's
and
great.
as much as we've said he's been milked, Brody Jr. having his own little -1 mask that looks like Ten's mask is kind of lovely.
I'm fine with that. If he just comes out like that and leads the charge with them, I'm fine with that. It's just when he's given an hour on mic, I'm like, oh, please no.
Yeah, we don't.
Also,
him leading the charge, I think, was right. I think that was cool. Yeah. He's there, but we don't need to use him for anything else.
Also, really nice finish was the fact that the Dark Order left Hangman alone at the end, and they were like, "No, don't worry about it. Enjoy yourself." And I was like, that's actual friendship being, acted, role played. Lovely spot.
Can't wait for Dark Order versus the Good Brothers. It's where it's all leading. Right. So, Inner Circle backstage promo. Any thoughts? Comments?
This was more complex than I expected it was going to be. MJF started shit talking. Well, it was meant to be a Santana and Ortiz promo, but that got clipped over. MJF shit talk. Then Jericho pointed it out to him, and I was like, "Oh, Jericho!" But then he, still said "fuck you, Sammy," and got angry. And then Jake Hager shouted "championships" like a Pokemon.
I love
which is the best character he's ever had.
Yeah, I love this character. Just screaming championships. It really makes me laugh. I don't know why.
I love the fact that Jake Hager understands that he's not the greatest promo, knows that he's supposed to be, considering you think of the other type of characters he's played in wrestling, and he knows he's just supposed to be the big, dumb, heavy hitter. And
he's just got a gimmick that is just shouting one word.
And he's so good. More Jake Hager comedy. He's really good at these just very subtle, silly.
It was like when he was cradling fucking Jericho when he got hit by the ball and he was just being shot. It was like, no!
It's like a George.
Yeah. Jake Hager is really good at self-depreciating comedy. He is incredibly good at it for all the times we've criticised him. So, are we giving that a score?
Gave it a C.
Gave it a C. There we go. Yep.
I thought it was good. Solid.
Serena Deeb versus Rio, a women's tournament match. Rio wins, which shocked me.
Yeah.
What do you think of the match? What score did you give it?
I did keep count for you, Nick. JR only pointed out Rio was 98 pounds 3 times. It was 1 before the break and 2 after. But he did refer to her as the smallest and little at different points in the match.
Okay.
Anyway, Nick asked me to count because he saw it before me. We got a solid grappling start, and it's not what I expected from Rio, to be fair. We got an actual bit of back and forth NWA style stuff. We got the Rio bridge out. Of a pin. She does it perfectly. And she pulled off a cartwheel dodge that I always fucking love. It was a lot more NWA otherwise than I expected from Rio. I've only really seen her as high-speed Joshi machine, you know. Deep submission works really well with a bunch of the stuff they're doing. Rio's personality was reading a lot stronger than the last time we saw her, I think. I think we're getting a bit more of an actual character from her.
Yeah.
As opposed to she's Japanese and Kenny likes her, which seemed to be before. And this match really showed that both can be strong. As much as there's the comments about Rio only being 98 pounds and the smallest and the littlest, that double stomp on Deeb's stomach, Jesus.
Yeah.
And the ending was a bunch of rolls and roll-ups, but it started a bit weird, but by the end, the counters and such are really good. I enjoyed this. I gave it a high C/B, but I want to hear what you boys think about it before I comment. Before I lock down.
I thought the weirdest part of it for me was Deeb coming out first when she's a championship holder at the moment. The comments about wrestlers being small and stuff like that, I just really dislike. It's just like just comment on the wrestling. Don't just keep going on about how small they are. I really enjoyed this match. I liked the storytelling of Deeb having the bad knee. She came out with the brace on from the start, you know, to give her the out of why she wasn't winning this match. And it was still a really close fought match, which I felt could go either way. And yeah, it was really solid. And I gave it a B myself.
Ooh.
Prepare to move your score up, Mr. Strange.
Oh,
we really enjoyed it. And I've got to say because the Raptor is not a fan of Rio at all. Really doesn't like. And this is the second time I remember she really enjoyed this match. I really enjoyed this match. This is what the women's matches I want to see. This was phenomenal. Storytelling in the match. They didn't need a story going in because it's a tournament.
No.
This is one of the things I know we talk about with giving an A. If you tell that story in them, because you can still get an S rank match from a match with two guys just thrown together, if you can tell a story in the ring.
Yeah, completely.
If there's nothing going on. And the story about the knee, everything else. I didn't mind the bits about talking about Rio being the smaller competitor because I'm hoping that's leading up to more. But I do, now you've mentioned it, Muir, it'll start to niggle me. I know now.
Yeah.
And it will, because I'll start noticing it more.
Keep a count, boys.
Keep a count. Yeah, this was a really good match. Really technical and lots of stuff going on, and I really enjoyed this. And I was surprised by the winner. Now, with hindsight, with Serena having the out with the knee, yes.
And
But she's also a massive babyface for us in AEW, so she could have overcome, you know,
yeah, exactly.
I
didn't feel any time in that match that it was definitely going to be Rio. As soon as she came out with the knee brace on, I was like, oh, okay. But you know.
Yeah, it could have gone either way. Yes, it was definitely a B from me.
Oh, wicked! I said high CB. My notes. Yeah. I think I didn't make as many notes as normally because I was just kind of enjoying it. And I said it's not what I expected from a Rio match.
That normally means it was a B, where if you haven't got a lot of notes because you're enjoying the match.
Yeah, it's true.
That is a standard. So after that, we've got. Oh God, I can't write Jade. Jade Cargill and Shaq video package. Yeah.
She's learning how to play basketball. I thought she was meant to be a wrestler.
New body stuff. C. It's a standard issue video package for a wrestler.
It was a C, but
a wonderful partner did point out that maybe they should have had a package of her training Shaq in wrestling or something, as opposed to maybe the relevant sport.
As the Raptor turned around to me and said, "Well, all that base basketball training, that's really going to help her in a wrestling match." Yeah, I hope she's a prodigy. I hope she's another Anna Jay.
I hope they've just been training her really hard for these last few weeks.
Constantly, just 6 days a week in the fucking
just
ring.
Posted her to Kigetsu.
Yeah.
Kigetsu, we've sent you a hot woman to train. Perfect.
So, moving on to that, Orange Cassidy with Chuck Taylor versus Luther with Serpentico. I didn't give a rating to this match. I just put a short no score.
This is
I'll just read my notes in order.
Yeah.
Real men wear pink. As a fan of wearing pink, it's nice to always see Chuck representing. We had a really strong start from Luther, to be fair. And that fucking neck shirt spin was awful. That is, in fact, too old for an apron to floor powerbomb, if you ask me.
Yes.
And Chuck is that the single awful waffle Chuck pulled off in Serpentico in the background was perfect. He literally hung in the air for a second before he fell. And that's it. D. Squash. It seemed unnecessary without the Miro run out. Like, I assumed that's all it was a vector for, but then that didn't happen either.
Yeah.
Run out.
Yeah. I'd have complained if it was just a vector for Miro, but without it being a vector for Miro.
Yeah, to be fair, the thing is, it didn't even feel like a squash match to me, so I just didn't even rank it.
Yeah, it's just something that happened on the screen.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, following on from that, Team Taz and Sting in ring promo. Any thoughts? Did the Void stare back?
At least something happened. I guess.
Sting can take a bump.
He can take a bump. Dropping him on his neck doesn't seem the smartest move, but here we are.
I don't even know what my notes say. It says something like, without bigs, it's clean. I don't know what that means.
What that mean? My notes were, oh fuck, Sting's dead. Oh, Stang's dead. And then at least something happened.
I don't think I'd have gone for the neck-based move on Sting.
No.
Otherwise, it's more of the same. I've criticised this last week, the week before. I'm not even going to rank it. I'm just ignoring this part of the show now. I'm sorry.
Just get to the match. Just get to the match. Following on from that, Eddie Kingston promo. Are we ranking it?
Great, obviously, B.
Yeah. We're going to start making sure we do this.
Eddie Kingston came on. He said some things about his emotions and being poor and having to get over pain, but also in a heelish way. So you found him, engaging and driving, but still heelish, and you want to see him punished a bit. It was awesome, like every Eddie Kingston promo.
He's just great at that.
So following on from that, we had the Kenny backstage promo. I would like to point out that JR introduced Kenny as the WWE champion.
Fucking get him off the show. Just get him off the. Just let him retire. Let him retire.
Let's skim over that and go on to how fucking amazing this was.
This segment was fucking S tier, boys. I loved it so much.
Are they in love? He only had like 30 seconds of reading for them.
Yes, mate. And then he had to go as soon as all the pictures were taken to show that he was good with kids. Fucking leaves instantly. It's fantastic.
We hate Nakazawa.
They just fucking kill him.
And they just left him.
The small child going over to the thing to get a tray to hit Nakazawa with that the Raptor noticed that I didn't.
It was wonderful.
I'm guessing it's the wrestlers' kids.
I gave it an A, but it was phenomenal. I loved it.
It should be an A, really, jokes aside. I thoroughly enjoyed this. It was like proper healing. Oh, I'm going to show up at this photo shoot. I'm just leaving straight after. Bye, kids. It was ace.
Oh, Attitude Era, we miss you.
Right.
Yeah, it was an A. This was awesome. It was just so funny.
Fabulous.
So, moving on. Proud and Powerful with the Inner Circle versus the Young Bucks. Bucks win with a roll-up. So what score did you give the match, and what did you think of the match? We'll go on to what happened afterwards.
Once again, I had a great time. I love Santana Ortiz, and I think they work really well with the Bucks. Look, bit disappointed we didn't get their intro music. Why do we have the Inner Circle intro music?
We're not allowed
I like the good music. We have to have the Inner Circle mistake. But anyway, it was really good and it was really smooth. There was some really cool stuff between Matt Jackson and Ortiz. We got a TV watching joke from Kenny in a little clip through, which always brings me joy. With a flipping backbreaker thing from Santana Ortiz was ace. They just do everything as a tag team, but most of the match was them winning. The twisting top turnbuckle stunner thing from Matt onto Santana was ludicrous. The iconoclasm from the Bucks looks cool, and they should do that more. We had a fucking avalanche Falcon Arrow from Santana. A lot happened in this match. From Santana onto Nick. There was Santana Ortiz catching Nick into a twist slam move from him running on his one thing. Was great. We got a Doomsday device, which always gives me a thumbs up.
And it was a good Doomsday device as well.
Yeah, it was.
It was a good one.
Just the ending. I think I expected more than a roll up. Like Ortiz's confused face sold it well. I don't know.
They don't overuse the roll up, and it is a legitimate move in AEW. They've always played it as a legitimate. It's not always the surprise move that Dub Z does, and I think we've been damaged with it being used as the surprise move. It's supposed to be a legitimate move, and it's all he could do to actually get that win. That's what I got out of it.
Maybe after such a cool-looking match, I expected something a little bit cooler. But I gave the match a B. I had a great time. We have, the story involved, which we'll build into in a minute. And the wrestling was really cool. I think Santana and Ortiz are one of my top tag teams just to watch for interesting events.
Yeah. I've always liked Santana and Ortiz. Mr. Muir?
I think this is just like match plus one. It's really solid. Yeah. And I think Santana and Ortiz don't get enough time on AEW. I think they should have been better placed in the AEW tag team division. I know they've got the story they're being put under by, Jericho and those lot, but I really like watching them, so it doesn't really help for me. But yeah, solid B for me. This was great.
B's across the board. Yeah, really enjoyed this match. Match plus one.
This is what we mean by match plus one, to be honest. Like I described it earlier in the tier list. Just match plus one. Enough story, really good wrestling, good times.
So, Inner Circle beat down on the Bucks. Kenny really keen to go out and save the Bucks. Don Callis stops him. And so we haven't seen the complete end of the Elite, I don't think. And eventually whispers something to the Good Brothers, and the Good Brothers eventually come out, and I'd say for the save, but they just kind of come out, and the Inner Circle have got bored beating up the Bucks and leave.
Yep.
Good story. It's continuing this story.
It's nice. Everything's coming together. Very dubsy dub. I think my favourite parts were Hager. Hager did the weirdest slam on Cutler because I think he was trying to avoid the stairs. He sort of picked him up and he was like half hanging it.
And he was like, oh no.
And he turned through like about 70 degrees to land. I don't know if I'm prepared for a Cutler versus Hager storyline, but I've been proved wrong before. And I love how protective Hager is of Jericho. It's great. Like he's probably like bundles him up and wraps him up.
It's also nice to see how protective Hager is of the other wrestlers.
Yeah, it is. That's a really good point. I'm excited. I like the story crossover. I'm intrigued to see where pretty much everything's going.
Following on from that, Brandy, Rhodes and Cody gender reveal. I haven't put anything to it. It was just a way for Cody to join commentary. Heartwarming moment for them.
I've got two notes, which are one of my partner's comments, which was, if you're pregnant, why the fuck would you be wearing high heels? And
because she's Brandy Rhodes. Sorry, go on. And
sweet, I suppose. There we are.
Yeah, we're too jaded for this.
It's a bit annoying to have time for this when some wrestlers didn't even get their intros on this show, But
I would be more annoyed if this wasn't literally about 30 seconds. They came out. I think Cody's entrance took longer than them actually doing the gender reveal because I missed it, and the Raptor had to tell me that they're having a little girl.
Oh, did you miss it?
Yeah, I missed the reveal bit. I think I was writing Brandy Rhodes and Cody gender reveal. Cody joins comment. I think I was writing my notes and missed it flash up as it's a girl.
That does happen. Sometimes you guys are talking about things. You're like, oh, that was really cool. I'm like, yes, that must have happened. Note that down.
So following on from that, FTR versus Matt and Mike Seidel. FTR win with the big rig. What did you think of the match? What score did you give it?
I, once again, really enjoyed this. I'm really excited to see the Seidels together. I do question why Mike Seidel comes to the ring with a quiver.
Can't wait for him to fire an arrow.
I just want to know what it is. And as Ruth said about his star tattoos up his back, he's a victim of 2004.
Got caught, mate.
Have a rip on the tattoos as we go through. Anyway, solid start to this match as always. Matt's got fucking great kicks. The Seidels fight in sync so well through this match. They've got so many timed moves and stuff. FTR, as much as I judge their gimmick, I do love them in the ring. I think their short power moves and stuff will work really well. They've got loads of weight. One thing I will point out that I noticed on commentary this week is they seem to remember. Do you remember near the start of AW where they were just continuously commenting on about how the winners make more money and stuff and the pay window and things? That came back in this episode. It was talked about a lot.
That's always a JR thing. It's an old school thing, and it's something I like because, and I like it. This is where you want, as much as we were criticising him earlier, this is where you want somebody like JR who remembers that and helps make a match feel, just a random thrown together match, feel like this is the reason why you want to win. You want the winner's purse, and I've always liked that. I think they should
like it. They went from mentioning it in like every match to a huge run of not mentioning it, and this one they mentioned it like every match. Just pace it out, a little bit of work. That's my only note because this was during the break where it did slow down for a bit, so obviously I had enough time to notice these things. But anyway, we were straight back into the match after the break. Matt Seidel's corkscrew reversal of a slingshot move into a cutter or whatever it was fucking immense. Kicks versus punches is basically how I viewed the match. All fists, no flips, and all kicks, all flips by the look of it. Worked really well against each other. The only thing which went a bit wrong was Mike Seidel's corkscrew finisher, I think, which didn't look great. But I think that might be the Seidel curse after the shooting star press and crew.
Yeah.
The big rig counter finish after the baseball slide was great. I gave this a C, but a B on Raw Wrestling, if that makes sense. Like, there wasn't any story, but the wrestling was so good that I was like, I really enjoyed it.
I gave it a B myself. Because, there's no fucking story here, don't get me wrong, but...
It is Super Max +1.
Yeah, mate. Like, FTR, as much as I bash them for being boring 80s wrestlers, they're great when they're in the ring. You can't put a foot wrong with them. And the Seidels impressed me in this match. I thought they did real well together. And their tag team work is fantastic, and they should stick them together a bit more. And, I gave it a solid B. I thought it was good. I really enjoyed it.
So this could have been an A if there'd been a story going into this, because this was a match like you just said, flips and kicks versus fists, no flips. Could have been. This was almost a setup for a dream future match, and if this is the opener to something that comes on, and we get that story of the two Flippy brothers versus the two old school 80s guys, that's somewhere to go. I gave it a C to B also because I couldn't decide. I really enjoyed it, but I think with our own description, I think Muir swung me because with our own description and what you said it was a B, C. There wasn't a story, but a B doesn't necessarily have to have a story. It has to have good wrestling or a good story. And I think this was a B.
Fight in tandem so well, the Seidels. Just wonderful. More of it. Bring them back. You can hear us, Nick. More of their...
Well, they shortened Dark this week. After that,
did.
FTR beat down on the Seidel brothers. Lights go out. Jurassic Express for the save. Luchasaurus has a new mask.
So's the... Go on, Muir. Go on.
Mask. I was like, are they going to bring him back with a new mask? Are they going to make it a bit more like ostentatious?
I wanted him to have come out with the Vibora mask.
I thought he was going
to drop the mask.
Yeah, I thought his mask was going to go, and I thought they were going to.
That picture of the mask on the floor and his back to the screen looked very ominous. Like
mask on. Now I'm a heel, or whatever.
The thing I more took from this, like we're all focusing on Luchasaurus's new mask, is the fact that FTR were trying to cut off either Matt or Mike Seidel's hair. Is that their thing now? Do they cut weird trophies off people with a pair of scissors? That's weird.
Maybe that's going to become their thing.
Oh, I mean, I'm down with it. If you've got people willing to have bits snipped off them for my entertainment, you go crazy.
It's very old school. So following on from that, Mox promo, this got a bit rambly.
Oh, did you not enjoy this one? I kind of enjoyed this one.
It was good, and then it got a bit rambly at the end. So I'm willing for you guys to change my mind. This was not peak Mox for me, but if you enjoyed it...
Mox promo was this. Which one was it?
Was it the one that got rambly at the end?
A normal guy, or which one?
The one where he said he was going to beat up Eddie because they're friends, and he pimped his NJPW match.
Yeah. Okay. I was wondering which one of his promos.
See,
he was
I
doing
get this because at the start of this year, one of our close personal friends was getting a bit emotional and a bit frustrated and a bit frustrating. And I said, yo, do you need me to take you out back and have a
And
fight
go a
with
fight,
you and
yeah.
beat some sense into you? And he was like, what? I was like, if you just want to fight, we can do it. And he was like, no, thanks, Strange. I was like, okay, just some people are like that. I'm one of those people who's like that.
Sometimes you
I
just
can
need to
understand.
get a bit of
And sometimes you
animosity
just
out.
need a rook. Sometimes you
Yeah.
just need a rook. Sort
Yeah,
it
I
out,
get
mate.
you.
I'll slap you about until you make sense, or you can slap me about until I make sense. Hopefully, both of us. So maybe it just empathised with my inner housing estate. But
No
otherwise,
problem
solid
with
moxing.
It was just solid moxing, yeah.
Then it gets a B. Solid moxing. So that led on to Eddie Kingston, Butcher and the Blade versus Lance Archer, Phoenix and Mox. Eddie Kingston, Butcher and Blade with Bunny versus Lance Archer, Phoenix and Mox with Jake Roberts. Mox wins with the paradigm shift. What did you guys think of the match? Score did you give it?
Oh God, I normally go first, and I haven't written down my ranking, so I don't know whether I have to read these notes positively or negatively.
It was a good match, Strange.
It was a good
That's what
match.
I can
Wicked,
tell
here
from
we
my
go.
notes. So go
Right.
ahead.
Well, I open with a +1 Butcher is beautiful. Not as beautiful as he was in the promo earlier with his fucking mustache and white, but still great. Notice still no heel or face door for my boys. Just want to point that out again there, Morg. They did not enter via the heel or the face door. We got a new Phoenix mask.
It's the new
wicked.
tweener door, which is the Mox tweener door.
I'll accept it.
Yeah,
Tweeners for life.
Phoenix be back to Japan.
His samurai mask.
Yes, mate.
We had a clusterfuck start, but the camera work helped with that, if I'm honest. It jumped between people nice and,
Yeah.
well directed, so I didn't feel like I was just watching people lying about. Butcher still being more vocal, which is really good, really helps his character. They said Mox and Blade had fought in the past, hadn't they? That they were in an old indie promotion together. But I believe that they were so smooth together. Just a really nice sequence from Mox and Blade to start with. We got Lance looking like a fucking beast, but his rope walk spot was a bit weird this time. I enjoyed it. Then we had a bit of a slowdown where Blade ate a lot of shit. Very smoothly and tightly done. Ate some shit, but for a while. And the leg hold in the corner was actually pretty clever healing from the Eddie side. I quite enjoyed that. I've not seen that before in recent memory, at least. And I like the fact it took everybody to stop Lance from tagging. They were like, no, come back. Though the double head choke slam headbutt spot did look a little bit silly, if I'm honest. Then Phoenix fucking comes into the ring and does a jump up the rope, springboard kick, arm drag, Eddie Butcher combo thing, which was just fucking ludicrous. It was just, then we got into the nice, just solid rotation of cluster. What AEW does really well, and I say this in all their multi-man matches, it's the rotating clusterfuck in the middle of the ring where one guy does one thing or maybe gets a couple of moves and then somebody else does something else and somebody else bounces off somebody else. They mastered that. Those motor spots are always really good. Second silly spot I gave it was Lance choke slamming Phoenix into a corkscrew into people. It was silly, but I liked it. But it was really...
We did wonder whether Luther was going to come out with gimmick infringement on this.
That'd be amazing. And then Mox bounced Kingston's finisher. Did he pick up on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he bounced it. So maybe, we have been judging the Oracan for some time. I'm aware it's a classic AJP style move and has great history, but it's not a good looking finisher. So maybe Eddie's getting a new finisher. I didn't rank it, so I'm going to listen to you guys speaking about it, but it looks like I was positive about this match.
I thought this was a really strong finisher. It was very silly, but it got over all the characters. Especially, I feel like Phoenix with his spot that he had in that middle of the match, because it was like he was injured for the start of the match. He was just sitting there on the side, like, is Phoenix okay? And then he just came in and did fucking ludicrous moves. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this. It was a bit silly. I would have liked to maybe see a few more singles matches, but yeah, this was solid. I think it was a B.
Yeah, I gave it a B. I gave it a low B because I wasn't sure. I really enjoyed this. Was anarchic, but I wasn't sure whether it was good enough for me. This was anarchic as all hell, and it was great. It was very face heavy. The faces had the upper hand a lot of the way through the match, but it was still really good. You never felt that they were just going to win. It just felt like and I'm loving this new tweener badass good guys alliance that we've got going on with Death Triangle and Mox and Lance Archer.
We'll see how it sticks.
Eddie
it's Lance versus Phoenix this week.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. And Lance will probably play heel in that, I should imagine. I'm surprised they've got Lance versus Phoenix. There wasn't a big fallout or anything. But this could be
Lance destroy.
Yeah, exactly. That may even lead to a great match between them two when we have Eddie and the others come out and attack them both for the rest of Death Triangle to make the save. Is Lance currently covering for an injured Penta, I wonder?
Penta's back soon, isn't he? Aren't we due
he's back at Revolution because he's in the ladder match.
Yeah.
I think he may have shown up at AAA or something like that.
Yeah,
or some Mexican wrestling promotion.
I'm just wondering if Lance, currently what Lance is actually doing is just covering for Penta a lot.
So they can break up now until he's back. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, because Lance is perfect for that position of the big heavy hitter. And they've got the story, they've got the common enemy, and I enjoyed the common enemy storyline that you had in
definitely.
This. So yeah, I say I gave it a B. I think actually it was a B. I don't think it was a low B. I think I was only concerned because of how anarchic and how much the faces had the upper hand. But it was a really good, fun match. It was silly, but it was fun, and that's what I want at the end. I want fun.
Yeah, you want to leave on a high note or a massive low note, you know.
Yeah, and so yeah, after that, Good Brothers come down, beat down on Mox, and our new alliance of people just seem to vanish.
Yeah, no, where did they go?
I have no idea.
Now, boys.
Fuck this guy.
Kenny promo. It was a really good promo, and he challenges Mox to an exploding barbed wire death match. Very Japanese.
Mate, I wasn't expecting this. I am going to point out that Kenny's eyebrows were gone again. I just don't think they like wrestling. They didn't show.
Free, mate.
Yeah, we had full crazy Kenny, and then he challenged him to an exploding barbed wire death match.
One way to get Mox off TV for his kid's arrival, but yeah.
Yeah, no. If they bring out fucking fluorescent tubes and everything, I do not know what to expect. I've seen Kenny bring Japan into AEW. I say Kenny, it's going to be him and a team of people. I've seen Nakazawa style DDT matches. I've seen the Stadium Showdown, very Japan big wrestling DDT thing. I've seen shoot style fucking punch matches. I've seen Trent going full Japan, as I put it. I can't say I expected this.
No,
this was not something I thought was going to happen. Either it's going to be a cinematic-y version of it where they get thrown into barbed wire, some stuff explodes, or they're going to commit and go full Japan, which could involve a larger amount of blood than we're used to in professional wrestling in recent times, shall we say.
Well, this is. I mean, it's a pay-per-view match. It's going to close out. The ring's going to explode.
The ring is going to explode.
This is. I think you're right. I think this is the way to write Mox off because, as much as I like Mox, I don't think he's taking that championship off Kenny. Because I think we all know who is, and
a man.
We all know who is. This is the way to do it. Or Okada.
Yeah. Oh, Ibushi.
Ibushi, if anybody takes it from NJP.
We haven't heard that rumor yet. But I thought this was a really good promo, and it shocked me at the end. And the Raptor went, "Well, that's a bit Japan," and I went, "Yes,
mate."
That's the kind of match that Mick Foley used to have back in the day.
There it is. just with more barbed wire.
Have AEW signed Mick Foley? They've got to have Mick Foley. You've got to have Mick Foley turn up for that. If he's not on speaking terms with Dub Z at the minute, you like getting your old legends. Yeah, you really need. Even if he just turns up to.
Mick Foley don't give a fuck. He'll show up anywhere. He's just having a great time in his age.
Yeah, but you need to have Mick Foley turn up briefly. Yeah, I want one of those classic Mick Foley turns up, warns Mox or warns Kenny not to do this promos, because they're always really good.
Oh, that's been too long since I've seen him. Does he still have that game though? I think he might have got a bit. I think Damage might have caught up with him,
Damage, yeah, a little. So there you have it. That's our review of Dynamite for the week. Mr. Strange, using the power of mathematics and science, what is our overall score?
It's an easy one this week. Using the power of science, we don't have any additional pluses either, which is good for those who are accustomed to my thing. We've got like 5 other ranks and then like 7 Bs. It's a B rank show.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, this was all right. Oh, that wasn't good. Everything else, it's good. Thumbs up. Yeah. B rank show, really good wrestling. I'm enjoying AEW a lot, despite how cynical I can be.
Yeah. So recommend you watch this show. It's another. They've had a good solid run recently.
Yeah. A lot of good story work. They've stopped leaning so much into matches about wrestlers we don't care about and building up promos and things that make us care about those wrestlers.
Yeah.
Wrestling is the worst part of wrestling.
Yeah. It's the least important
before he's about
part.
to talk about Raw wrestling.
Oh, yes. You tell us what you think. You can send us messages, tell us what you think. You can give us something to rant about, tell us things you wish for us to discuss. You can send all that to wrestleopinionated@gmail.com, WrestleOP on Facebook, and WrestleOP1 on Twitter. You can ask us questions or thoughts. You could even suggest a match for us to review, like we are going to this week in our 15-week run of reviewing some of our favourite matches. Just a quick catch-up, if this is your first time listening. So a few weeks ago, we decided to pick out, literally quite off the top of our heads, 5 of our favourite matches, not our top 5, not necessarily our all-time favourites, but 5 of our favourite matches each. And we have been watching them and reviewing them. This week, it was one of Mr. Strange's matches. It was Jack Sabre Jr. versus Sanada from the G1.
Yep.
I believe.
Day 10 or something like that.
Yeah. So, as always, I'll let you lead with the play-by-play, Mr. Strange.
Yeah, no worries. I'm going to open with, I'm not sure this is the match I was thinking of when I suggested the match, because it's very hard to get G1 matches. But on the other hand, it doesn't matter, because it's a very similar match. This is Sanada, who is the Los Ignorables sexy cool man. That's basically his gimmick.
Sexy and cool.
He's sexy and cool. He's a quiet-looking man who looks a bit like the Monkey King.
Yep.
Versus Zack Sabre Jr., who is an evil, noodly vegan who is in Suzuki-Gun.
He is evil and a noodle.
Right, okay, so this match, the video we put up had no English commentary, which does hurt a little, but I don't think it matters. This match is basically, do you like watching people counter? Do you like technical wrestling? Because that is all it is. Now, normally when you talk about technical wrestling, people are thinking of boring, just, hand, collar, elbow, wrap over, mat takes down. This isn't that. This is just insane countering, rolling, body work, counters, flips. If you were to watch sections of it, it could be considered boring. But I couldn't look away because I did not know who or what was going to be countered into what and where it would come. We had rolling armbar slam things from Sanada. We had Sanada coming out of a wrist lock from the most insane spin flip counter thing I think I've ever seen. He did a bunch of escapes into an armbar, into a flip that was countered by Zack Sabre Jr. into a submission, which then flipped into another move from Sanada, which then went into another submission. There's a bit of a break because obviously Zack Sabre Jr. is the noodliest man and his submission work is continuous. We got a pace break with the Sanada test of strength. Sanada just bodied Zack Sabre Jr. into the floor. And it was really nice to actually see that in a match, because normally you hold hands, then one kicks the other in the stomach and runs the rope and stuff. And that's not to criticize that. Rope running happened in this, and it was great. Sonada's jumps and flips without looking back to get over Zach, and the speed they do it is just immense. Zack Sabre Jr. so noodly he can put somebody into a headlock with his arms linked behind his back. Then we just had 1,000 ways to do rolling pins, just in and out. We didn't get to see Skull End in this, Sonada's full finisher. So Skull End's Morg is a move where it puts you into the reverse DDT position. This is Sonada. And then he just spins you around by your head. We did get to see him put Zach into the position. He's got this maneuver where he moonsaults off the turnbuckle and catches his opponent in the reverse DDT position. And it's beautifully done. He does it in this. And it was great. And then we got another great reversal where he flipped Zack Sabre back. It looked like Zack Sabre was going to counter, but he landed on the top turnbuckles and Sonada dropped into a cutter. And then just a fucking masterclass in grappling and rolling and counters and submissions. And it shows that realistic can be fancy. Sure, it's not the most high-spotty match. Sure, it's not the most impacty match. But if you want to watch two men just roll over each other in a series of technical moves, it's fucking wonderful. Sorry, there goes my old boys I love grapply rolly stuff. What did you boys think?
Every time these two seem to have a match, it seems to be one of our favourites. It's just fantastic. Like, the technical ability, of these two is unparalleled. Like, Zack Sabre Jr.'s ability to put you in a hold no matter what he's doing is ridiculous. And the ability of Sonada to counter anything you do into something else is just beautiful. I don't think these guys could have a bad match together. They're so good at technical wrestling. But yeah.
As Zack Sabre Jr. said, trying to do a good technical match for Americans is like reading Shakespeare to a dog.
He's fantastic. They're both really good together, and I don't think there's any much more I can say about this match, to be honest. If you like any form of technical wrestling or want to see technical wrestling at its best for like trying to see if you like this sort of wrestling, I highly recommend any Zack Sabre Jr. versus Sonada matches.
So I'm
going
to give the criticism first.
Yeah.
So me and the Raptor watched this together. We know we enjoyed it because the finish came out of nowhere. That was our only criticism. And this was one of those things, and this is why I made the comment earlier about the story in this match of it did not matter what Sonada did, Zack Sabre Jr. just countered it every single time. And every time Zack Sabre Jr. did something, Sonada countered it. And Zack would get a submission off, and Sonada, and we were thoroughly. We think that, and again, the Raptor commented on this, was that she thinks we would have enjoyed it even more had we had if we'd found a version of it with American commentary, or with English really English speaking commentary, because that would have helped us even more understand. But we knew it was good because we still enjoyed it without that commentary. I think with the commentary it would have been an A/S. Without, I think it just gets an A from me, but that's only because of not having that extra bit of help to follow it, if that makes sense.
Sorry, man. We'll hook you up with the next G1. They'll have Gambino and Kevin
Kelly on
it,
I'm sure somewhere there will be
Gino.
A copy of this with them. We've watched New Japan stuff before. We've watched most of Wrestle Kingdom with one of Kenny's 6-star matches, and thoroughly enjoyed it. And we found versions with an American commentary, English-speaking commentary, which just helped. So the only real criticism is that we just didn't have the best version of the video to watch. That's nobody's fault. They're not easy to find.
Might not even have been the right match. I don't think that one was.
That wasn't the right match, because you wanted 29 and you gave us 30. But
there you go.
But it doesn't fucking. The only thing you missed was Skull End and probably a Paradise Lock.
Yes, you did miss a Paradise Lock, which I love.
Maybe Zack Sabre Jr. pointing out to a crowd member that he's got a 20 count out in New Japan, not a 10. Otherwise, it's just this wonderful man ballet.
Yes.
You forget the bit at the end when he loses and he starts screaming about Boris Johnson ruining his G1.
Yes.
Year. Boris Johnson is the leader of a real country. I can't concentrate. He's the fucking best.
I loved his temper tantrum as well on his way out.
Yeah.
Mate, every time he sulks, he's wonderful.
So
if they bring him to AEW, I would to see as much as I am a left-leaning political person, seeing an angry, screechy vegan lefty as a heel brings me great joy.
Such a good character.
To be fair, as a left-leaning person, I loved Daniel Bryan when he was doing exactly the same type of character.
Exactly.
You know, you
For some reason,
could
he
have.
was a heel that was trying to save the world. He's like, maybe we should be slightly eco-friendly, and that was heelish, apparently.
Well, that's Vince, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, are you ready for me to
fucking do this?
spin the dice.
Do it, boys.
So.
Spin the wheel.
Oh. It's another strange.
What have I got?
Oh no.
Oh, it is. It's the one we've been waiting for. It's Kigetsu versus Mayu.
Yeah.
Yes.
We don't know which one because you specifically stated, if I remember correctly, that it was just going to be a Kigetsu versus Mayu match because they're all brilliant.
I'll ask the weeb expert.
I'll find the one he wants. I know it's for
man with a Stardom account. Please let me know.
Yeah, it's for the red belt. I'll get it and link it to you shortly.
Cool.
Okay, we've got Stardom doesn't have fancy names for its pay-per-views. It will literally be like this
Cinderella.
match on the 11th of the 7th, 1997, or something like that.
If you're lucky, it'll be a Cinderella match. That's normally the names of their pay-per-views. They're very hard. Cinderella in something.
Otherwise, it's just the names of the people versus each other with a date. So we will get back and have a link.
We are getting
these websites are awful.
We are getting to the point where I think we're going to end up with a run of mine because you two have got one left each and I've got three.
Oh.
I know I've got Macho Man versus Steamboat left.
Yeah.
Oh yeah! I don't know what my last one is, and I don't want to know.
You don't want to know? Okay.
No, surprise me.
Okay, so there you have it. That's our show for the week. We'd like to thank Anchor.fm for hosting the podcast. You can find us at Wrestleopinionated on Anchor.fm, Spotify, and YouTube. Mr. Muir.
Thank you very much for listening. It was great fun as always. If you'd like to send anything in to us or any questions or any matches you'd like us to watch for you and review, please send them into wrestleopinionated@gmail.com, WrestleOP on Facebook, and WrestleOP1 at Twitter. Over to you, Strange.
Once again, cheers for listening. We do very much appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe, hit that little bell button, write a comment. That's all 4 of the things you have to do on YouTube. If you are listening on another platform, click whatever their like button equivalent is. I don't know. But once again, thanks for listening. Please do send us some shit in. Back to you, Morg.
So all that's left to be said is, let's see the return of the Believers.